Welcome back to Tech Talks Daily, everyone. A quick question to start off today's show. Have you ever found yourself dreading the prospect of reaching out to a customer service hotline? You know what I'm talking about. Anticipating that all too familiar dance of automated systems, long wait times, and that hellish, seemingly inevitable game of pass the parcel with your call. Well, today on the show, we're going to be diving deep into a solution that promises not only to challenge that experience, but also transform this narrative. Because joining me today is John Finch from RingCentral. And he's going to be joining us to explore the groundbreaking world of RingCX, which essentially is RingCentral's AI-powered native intelligent contact centre. Before we get today's guest on, though, I need to give a quick shout out and a thank you to the sponsors of Tech Talks Daily this month. They are Kiteworks, and in a digital age where the landscape of remote work is ever expanding, the security and efficiency of your managed file transfer solution are paramount. This is where Kiteworks sets a new benchmark, far surpassing legacy MFT tools with its unparalleled security measures and user-centric design. They've even been awarded the prestigious FedRAMP Moderate Authorization, a recognition that is not easily obtained, and they've held it since 2017 by the Department of Defense. So what I'm trying to say here is don't let outdated technology dictate the safety and efficiency of your business operations. Simply step into the future of secure managed file transfer with Kiteworks, and you can start your journey towards uncompromised security and unparalleled functionality today by visiting kiteworks.com. That's kiteworks.com, where you can explore the future of secure data management. But now it's time to get on with the show and invite today's guest on. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the Bay Area, where John is waiting to join us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show, John. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. My name's John Finch. I am Vice President of Product Marketing for Customer Engagement here at RingCentral. I have recently rejoined RingCentral, so sort of a boomerang coming back after being gone for about 3 years. And prior to that, I was here at RingCentral in a very similar role in customer engagement for about 4 years since 2017. So super excited to be back and really focusing on everything that we're doing from a customer engagement and contact center perspective, especially as it has to do with artificial intelligence and all the great things happening in the space today.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I think we had Kira Macagon, Chief Innovation Officer from RingCentral, on the show last year. Have you bumped into Kira yet since you've returned?
Of course, yes. Lots of interaction with Kira and, under her leadership. So definitely lots of interactions with her since I've returned and even prior to my return.
Well, just to set the stage for our conversation today, I think we all, and I say everyone listening anywhere in the world, we've all had a bad or frustrating customer service experience at some point. So I'm curious, what challenges are you seeing in customer service today? Are there any notable trends that you're coming across in this industry?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's changed a lot, and I would say it's changed a lot in the last 2 years, or less. I think, number one, there's always research that's out there. There's a report that really talks about customer engagement and customer satisfaction. And we do know that customer satisfaction across the board, about 97% of those that were surveyed in this particular research report said that they still have very poor customer interactions, and only 3% said they had good. And I think if you looked overall at customer satisfaction, especially as we went through the pandemic and people were having challenges with getting, systems set up where they could have remote agents and remote individuals answering basic questions for customer service, from any industry across the board. It was challenging, but those that sort of won were those that had digital customer interaction capabilities or other customer interaction capabilities like chatbots from the website or other kind of messaging sorts of applications that they had implemented prior to the pandemic were the ones that were able to still kind of hold up their brand identity from a service perspective. But we saw that shift really happen in 2020, 2021 as things kind of came along. But the other piece that sort of upended this really is AI. And since the proliferation of artificial intelligence and the big launch back at the beginning of last year, end of the year before, with OpenAI and what that was going to do for the world, really kind of put things on its end. And even though artificial intelligence has sort of always been a part of the customer experience sort of technology stack in different facets, like from quality management and QA, most certainly, and call routing, components that existed in some of the larger, more expensive systems at the enterprise level, only that large companies could really afford. Most people couldn't, depending upon the size of their business, their big budgets, really has proliferated, and AI has become something that's more tangible for folks. And they're looking at different ways to sort of use that across the organization to help the individuals that are providing customer service, as well as the individual customers themselves, in terms of continuing that differentiated service level. So I would say it's those things. It's still a need. Customers aren't happy overall. We've seen some shifts. AI is really the next best wave, and we're really trying to, help people understand what AI is going to do and what it can actually change for customers and for the individuals that are providing customer service within organizations.
And before you came on the podcast today, I was doing a little research and I came across various reports and studies at RingCentral. And one of the ones that stood out to me was some findings that a significant number of customers would rather engage in unpleasant tasks than actually contact customer service. How have you approached these challenges at RingCentral? It must be a story you hear a lot, though, right?
Yeah, there's always the memes and the jokes about bad customer service, right? We've seen this throughout time, and the challenges of calling into an IVR and not getting the answer you want. I mean, it's just completely frustrating. So I can see where a lot of people feel this way, right? I have, I'm sure you have, many of us have, over time figured out, like, hey, this is super awful. I'm just going to hit 0 until someone picks up, and I don't care who it is. Now it's different, right? I think that, it's important for organizations, for technology providers like RingCentral to really be thinking about what is the experience overall. And it's not just one piece, right? It's not just the self-service component coming in the front door from the website for an individual to be able to solve their own problem. It's not just calling into an IVR and getting to an agent ultimately and then escalating because you're not getting the answer you want. It's not about, you answering a post-call survey because you're, angry at the experience that you just had. So you're giving them feedback. It really is about getting in, having a great experience, getting the information you need. If you're a self-service person like myself, you want to just get the answer. You're going to YouTube it. You're going to try to find out what it is. If you can't, you're going to go to the website. You're going to talk to the chatbot digitally, or you're going to call in and do, voice virtual assistant sort of experience. If that's a good experience and gets you the answer you want, you're super satisfied, and you're done and you moved on. You got lots of stuff to do in your life, and you don't want to spend 45 minutes on a phone call on a Saturday afternoon because your bike doesn't work or your internet's down or something like that, or your phone bill's screwed up. So I think at the end of the day, people want that experience, but if there is a way to think about it end to end and have that great experience overall, so that if it's a complex interaction, for example, and you start out in that virtual assistant world, and then you go to an agent, getting all that information all the way through that journey is super important. You don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to start over once you get to a live agent. You want to have that seamless experience. And I think setting that up in today's world of technology and the innovations that we've had that we're speaking about with AI and just, general organizational shifts towards customer service, towards the customer, it really is going to change. And we're seeing that across the board. And that's sort of the dream I've had. I've been in this space for a long time. And it's one of those things where we've had conversations over the course of like, hey, are we seeing all the innovation we're ever going to see in the contact center? And sometimes you're like, yeah, this is it. And then the next year comes along and here is the next best thing. So that evolution will continue. And as consumer interest grows, as consumers have more access to better technology in their personal lives, the expectations of what they're accessing brands to get service, and then their ability to be brand loyal or lack thereof, will be predicated upon these experiences.
Love that. And another thing that I came across was RingCentral also recently unveiled RingCX to address somewhat of a gap in the market. And for anyone listening that missed that announcement, are you able to give a brief overview of what RingCX is, what distinguishes it from other solutions, and most importantly, because we're talking about AI this year, how it leverages AI to redefine customer service experiences? And I appreciate I've asked you about 6 questions in one there, but can you offer an overview on that?
Absolutely. I mean, RingCX is our product, period. It's a product that is built on the RingCentral core platform. It takes the best of breed technologies from voice and digital and blends those together into a seamless omnichannel experience. And the red thread or at the core of this really is the AI experience. So being able to provide some of these things that we're talking about in terms of the experience, not only for the customer, but for the agent, the supervisor, and then the data and information and the insights that are needed at the business level become absolutely true. And from the onset of this development process, which, was the course of time to sort of pull these things together, because the team really wanted to put something together that is differentiated in the marketplace. It is truly a technology that's built for any size business. So as we said before, as I said before, AI was around, but it was in different facets, right? It was something that only large businesses like, the largest airlines or the largest financial service, consumer service companies really could afford, because they had developers internally and they could build their own technologies, or they could buy the most expensive ones that are off the shelf that then could be customized. This provides the, ability for every brand to have that democratized sort of solution. So smaller businesses all the way through the largest enterprise can take advantage of this, right? And that's sort of the promise of the cloud. And so as we get through this, though, organizations that we're seeing really adopt this very quickly since we announced this last fall, the hundreds of customers that we've won since that time, that short period of time, are of all sizes. Some of the smaller businesses, some medium-sized businesses, and we're seeing, great interest even in larger organizations as well, that are saying, hey, this is the perfect technology, because it does allow for the smaller business to take advantage of the artificial intelligence, take advantage of the things that were once very difficult to realize, like an effective quality management solution or quality monitoring solution, to sort of look at agent performance and customer satisfaction and coach and train agents properly on interactions in real time and even in post call, but really provide that level of information all the way through that customer journey, from the interactive component that we were talking about at the front door of the business, either voice or digital, and agent, assisted service, all the way through to experts in the organization that may be in the billing department or tier 2 or tier 3 support. And then all the way through to the reporting and the analytics pieces I mentioned to make critical business decisions and get the insights that are necessary to sort of change the trajectory of your organization's, customer service. So those are the biggest things with RingCX in terms of differentiation. It really is that product that works for everybody. It's omni-channel. It's AI first, meaning red thread throughout, to really invoke and transcend the organization to become more of a customer-centric organization holistically.
And for anyone listening that maybe they want to look beyond the hype cycle, beyond the AI buzzword, the status that it seems to have right now, and interested in actually how can AI solve my real problems, generate business value, give a return on investment on the tech project, etc. How specifically does RingCX's AI capabilities address some of those pain points we're talking about here?
Yeah. One of the best examples and that I use on a regular basis is really customer satisfaction. And it comes down to the interaction that the customer has at that moment in time with an agent, with an interactive voice, or interactive virtual agent, I should say, either voice or digital. And, that's the front door. That's the escalation point. Those are the components that are the experience for the customer. So as an example, I come in, I have an experience with an interactive virtual assistant. All the information that I share with the interactive virtual assistant obviously is starting to use artificial intelligence at that very level. And what it's doing is pulling information from a knowledge base with semantic search. It's providing me with the latest sets of information. that typically an agent would have access to or would just know off the top of their head to service me, to be able to give me the information I need. But let's say that I can't get through to some sort of more complex issue, a topic like a billing issue, and the IVA doesn't have access to that. The voice or virtual assistant doesn't have access to that. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, can I, would you like to talk to a live agent? And I say yes. And so it gives me a couple options, one of which is to click and it'll call me back. And then the agent can talk to me over the phone or over a voice call, or I can continue to chat with the agent. So I sort of have a choice to do that. At the same time, behind the scenes, if you will, what's happening is that I choose to continue digitally because I'm on my mobile device and I'm just messaging with the system or with the brand. That agent gets a notification that I'm waiting in queue. And at the same time, all the information from my interaction with the virtual assistant gets pushed to the agent. So they have a quick purview of everything that I've discussed up to that point so that they are caught up right away with a summary, salient points, sort of get information about if I'm angry or if I'm, okay, if I'm eager, whatever that sort of sentiment might be of my demeanor during the call. And then they come online and they verify that it's me with a quick, hey, can I get your name? Great. I see that you're looking for this. You're looking at a billing issue. I'd love to solve that for you. Then being able to then have that information solved by that agent and have them have information across the board similar to what the IBA has with the knowledge, the next best action, sort of prompts from the knowledge base to sort of solve my problem. And then at the end of that call, the system will ultimately take and identify how the performance of that interaction was, right? So a level of customer satisfaction will be ascertained. And then there'll be elements that can be looked at by the agent about their performance on that call. So themselves will have an immediate understanding of how they performed for that customer, even though the customer may have not done a survey, right? A satisfaction survey. And then that gets logged. And then when a supervisor comes in and sees that maybe it was yellow, the interaction because the customer was upset. And so it sort of triggered a lower score than it would have been for a perfect interaction. The supervisor then has the ability to sort of look into it, listen to the call, see the transcript, see some of the key words that were said, understand what the interaction was, and then provide some coaching back to the agent on what to do, if that makes sense. Or if it's just an interaction that sort of was, unrecoverable due to the level of anger that I had when contacting the brand, then, that was just like, okay, well, we did the best we could and we move forward, right? But you get that real-time component of satisfaction immediately during the call, after the call, and then even as a supervisor looks into the overall satisfaction. And I think those things before AI were difficult to realize. And with AI, it really brings the whole story together so that you can actually understand the performance of individual agents and the customer experience overall so that you can make changes where necessary.
And at a time where data privacy concerns are also increasingly becoming paramount, a question I've got to ask on behalf of those business leaders listening is how does RingCX ensure things like the security and privacy of customer information, especially when you're utilizing things like AI for personalized services?
Yeah, I mean, from a privacy perspective, everybody's got to be on their toes about this. And we at RingCentral are. I mean, everything that we do is proprietary to the organizations and its business context that we're working with, right? It's not open. We're not feeding into a large language model where there's access by, lots of different individuals outside the organization. It's definitely contained for the organization, and the privacy components are very important as we go forward. We will continue to evolve those. I think a lot of people that are in this space right now are trying to ensure that the privacy is a big component of the trust that they have with utilizing and leveraging these technologies as we go forward. So the industry as a whole is really, working to do that. And I think as we see AI continue to evolve, as we see some of the risks in general that folks are talking about in the industry, staying on top of those trends and ensuring that privacy and that trust is secured in the same way that we have all of the components and the trust and security and certifications that we've got in our core platform of 25 years that we've had in the market. We will continue to do that even with the AI components here. So customers can rest assured. I mean, the certifications we have across the board, obviously carry over from HIPAA compliance all the way to SOC 2 and name your many other certifications that we carry through in doing business with large enterprise organizations around the world. We will continue that same facet with the trust and privacy that we have with our artificial intelligence capabilities as well.
And just to make sure everybody listening gets a little value from this, I think many businesses have existing customer service infrastructures already in place. So can you tell me a little bit more about how RingCX integrates with some of these systems and the kind of challenges and opportunities that you've came across in ensuring that seamless connectivity that every one of your customers depends on?
Yeah, no, great question. There are many different facets of the customer experience for organizations, right? I mean, from a telephony, from a digital multimodal communication type of interaction, we're going to be the conduit that orchestrates that for the customer and for the brand or the company that's providing customer service. There are components like CRMs from Salesforce and Zendesk and many others that are out there, as well as homegrown, that we effectively integrate with. That's the central repository of customer information. As a key component to what we need to integrate with, that probably is the most important set of tools that we need to ensure we have seamless integrations with. So we do that as a part of our open API platform that we've had for a long, long time, which is really best of breed in this industry, I will say, provides the capability for standard integrations, as I'm mentioning, where we have a level of depth that's going to provide the interaction capabilities necessary for most organizations. And then we have low code and developer grade code available to do lots of different integration levels or customizations necessary. So some of those things can be done during deployment with our professional services team. They can be handed off to partners that we have, and they can actually be handed off to development organizations within the companies where appropriate as well through our open APIs. So those integrations are really key as we go forward and making sure that we have those CRM integrations. There are other components like phones, right, and devices that are very key as well. So our breadth of interoperability with devices and the quality assurance that goes on with that is also second to none. I mean, we work with Avaya phones, we work with Cisco phones, we work with, old SIP phones from ShoreTel if they still exist. So there isn't a lot of lifting for the customer if they want to keep some of those devices as well that agents might be using. Obviously, the transition to the cloud gets rid of a lot of the hardware components that would be required if there are on-prem sort of solutions that need to be removed. But, ultimately, we have the ability, because of this open platform, to integrate with many of the different capabilities that are necessary, even if there's other quality management solutions from companies and workforce management solutions from companies like Verint or Calabria or other things that organizations have invested in. We have those integrations as well that we can leverage in this open platform environment. So customers have that choice and will continue to have more choices as we continue to evolve.
And speaking of customers, of course, we're all customers. And while AI can streamline processes and reduce frustrating things like wait times, there's also sometimes a concern about companies losing that human touch. So how does RingCX balance automation with that need for personal, empathetic customer interaction when you just want to speak with someone? Because it is quite a tricky balance sometimes. How do you handle this at RingCX?
It all depends. It depends on the example I gave of, me coming in and being frustrated, right? I think, you never want to gate an individual customer into a digital only set of interactions. I think it depends on the company. It depends on the brand, right? We see a lot of sort of upstarts come about and, some of the brands, I won't mention them by name, but they're doing rentals on properties, right? And you can have short-term and long-term stays through their website. But you as a user of this platform, and you even as a host on this platform, don't have access to a person. The only way you can communicate with them is digitally. And there's an SLA of a return, because a lot of times, most of the time, the interactions are not in real time, that you have to, text with them or go to the website, and you end up interacting with a virtual assistant, and you can email them with a 24-hour turnaround SLA. And if you really, really, really dig in and do a lot of searching, you can find a phone number, but typically those individuals aren't able to help you with your situation. You have to wait for them to get a ticket from you, basically from the system, and then have a return interaction to you within a period of time. And you may be waiting outside the door of, a place that you're trying to get into, and you just landed in Paris, for example, and you're waiting to get into that condo that you're going to be renting for the week. So I think the challenges for those organizations are they've sort of built this wall around customer service, which doesn't give a lot of flexibility to the customer on both ends, either the host or the renter. But then organizations that have been established, as you mentioned, large consumer financial services companies, travel agencies, airlines, others, there is a need always to get to a person. There's an escalation point. So in reality, I think it just depends on the business, what they have the capacity to do and manage, and sort of their overall philosophy. And if they've always provided levels of customer service all the way through from, self-service, let's call it, through to a live agent for an escalated, interaction, I think that they're going to need to continue that because their customer base is used to that. I think as different generations continue to evolve and, into the consumer at large, some of those changes may occur, but I do think that you have to have that. And most companies are looking for that escalation point. They want to get as much off the plates of a lot of live agents, because that's costly. And that makes sense. But I think there are other ways to, effectively cut down on costs, that wouldn't affect the service levels, and going to all digital as an example probably isn't one of those, because the ultimate longer term risk that you're leaving on the table is unsatisfied customers and the churn of customers to your competitor.
And I know you probably won't be able to share too much on this, but if we did look beyond RingCX, is there anything you can share around how you see AI evolving in the customer service space? And are there any emerging technologies or trends that might excite you, or you believe will maybe even further shape the future of customer interaction?
Well, it's a good question. I think, as I mentioned, lots of conversations over the course of time around what are the innovations that we're seeing and sort of where do we go from here. I think it will continue to evolve. The predictions are that AI will definitely become more and more prolific across the customer engagement sets of solutions. And I think as it gets more intelligence, and this might kind of sound creepy or a little scary, but as it gets there, the human sort of ability for AI is evolving. And there are a lot of times with a lot of interactive virtual assistants where you can't even tell that it's not a human. There are interactions that are out there where you think you start with a chatbot as an example, and then it gets to another level and they say, hey, I'm going to put you on hold and, transfer you to an agent. And then you think you're online with an agent, but you know what? You're not. You're still using a different tier of a chatbot. And that humanness of that interaction becomes more seamless. And the information that's available through semantic search and the continuation of machine language and just the learning abilities and always getting better throughout time will get us to that level. And I think that that's sort of where things are going to go. Super automated, very low touch, always evolving, providing better and better levels of service. It probably will get to a point where artificial intelligence can probably service human customers better than other humans can.
Wow, and I think that's a powerful moment to add on. So I cannot thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your insights today. And I'm going to see if there's something we can do for you now, because a lot of the biggest names in tech and business have either been guests or listened to this podcast. So if I was to ask you, who would it be that you would like to have breakfast or lunch with, and why? Because he or she might just be listening to this. So let's see if we can manifest something together. But who would that person be and why?
You know, I like to think of myself, I love technology. I'm a Midwestern guy, grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, moved out purposefully many, many moons ago to Silicon Valley and have never left and love what I do, the company I work for, and the people I work with, and the people I've met over time. And one person that I look to, because it's very interesting for me to see, how do we think of things differently and not get, overwhelmed by the mundane? There's a different approach to things, and we've got to do things better. And he also has this controversial sort of persona around this person, which I would just love to understand more, is Elon Musk. And it may be, a lot of people probably say that, I would guess. But I really have seen over the course, the guy is the same age as me. I've seen him start PayPal, go all the way through, to the innovations he's done with Tesla and SpaceX and, some other things in between. And when you hear him speak generally for what we as consumers can see posted, out there and live, his influence and impact and his insight, it's like he's the oracle, and he knows what's going on in the world and what the future is going to look like. I'd love to just know where that comes from in his personality. So he would be really somebody I would want to talk to, and just an hour lunch somewhere, that would just be phenomenal.
Well, we'll throw it out into the ether, into the universe. Let's see what we can manifest together there. It'd be great if we could make something happen. And for anyone listening, just wanting to find out more about RingCX, about RingCentral, about anything we talked about today, where would you like to point everyone listening?
RingCentral.com. We have, you come in the front door there, there's lots of information on our artificial intelligence. Obviously, we have a phenomenal communications platform that is really built on trust, and there's lots of solutions, including RingCX for contact center and customer engagement. And you can find out more information there.
Well, we covered so much in a short amount of time today, from those customer service challenges, the introduction of RingCX, AI's role in the customer experience, data security and AI, the human element in AI-driven customer service as well. And not even that, we even managed to get in manifest a meeting with Elon Musk. Let's see what else we can achieve there. But thank you for sharing everything with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
From listening to John today, I think it's clear that the intersection of AI and customer service is not just a fleeting trend, but a fundamental shift towards creating a more responsive, efficient, and ultimately human-centric customer experience. And RingCX is standing at the forefront of this evolution, promising a future where customer service frustrations are a thing of the past, and finding that balance between automation and empathy. It is incredibly fine-tuned, but they seem to be getting there. So as we look forward, one question remains: how will businesses continue to innovate and integrate these technologies to meet those ever-evolving expectations of their customers? I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's discussion, and indeed your experiences with AI-enhanced customer service. Good, bad, indifferent, and everything in between. Please join this conversation. Share your insights with me by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But that's it for today, so thank you for tuning in to Tech Talks Daily, where every day we do try and demystify technology and explore its real-world applications and the difference that it can make. But until next time, keep looking towards the future, and remember to join me same time, same place tomorrow morning.